This is Vectisfabber Verdict, the Beatles podcast from the Isle of Wight.
Oh, Beatles fans, gather round, for I'm about to dive into the most peculiar, and frankly hilarious, piece of Beatles scholarship known as the Beatles Illustrated Record by Roy Carr and Tony Tyler. Now, if you're not familiar with this book, let me give you the gist. It's an illustrated biography that has somehow managed to become both a cherished piece of Beatles memorabilia and a source of endless mirth for those who can't help but see through its thinly veiled biases. First off, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the George in the band. Carr and Tyler, bless their biased little hearts, seem to have an inexplicable disdain for our dear, dark horse, George Harrison. It's almost as if they've taken the quiet Beatles moniker a tad too literally, interpreting it as an unimportant Beatle. Reading through their commentary, one might be led to believe George's contributions to the Beatles were akin to someone bringing a sandwich to a royal banquet. Here's a little song from George. They might as well say, it's all right, but let's not dwell on it, shall we? It's as if every time George tried to step into the spotlight with a guitar riff or a sitar strum, Carr and Tyler were there, shaking their heads and scribbling notes. Nope, not nearly as good as Lennon-McCartney's latest. But let's not be too harsh. After all, their love for the early Beatles material is so profound it borders on worship. They lavish praise on songs like She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Love Me Do with such enthusiasm, you'd think these tracks were the pinnacle of Western civilization's musical achievements. It's as if the world stopped spinning after 1965, and everything post-Rubber Soul was just a weird dream, or perhaps, a magical mystery that they'd rather not solve. Speaking of magical mystery tour, oh how they dismiss this gem. Here's where the chuckle turns into a guffaw. The EP, which includes such classics as I Am the Walrus and The Fool on the Hill, is treated with the kind of disdain usually reserved for someone who spilled their pint at the pub. According to Carr and Tyler, it seems the Beatles decided to take a whimsical detour into the land of the absurd, which apparently was not on their map of acceptable Beatlemania. They critique the film with the same eye-rolling frustration one might reserve for a distant uncle trying to explain cryptocurrency at a family reunion. It's a mess. They might as well have written a psychedelic soup with too many spices. But isn't that the beauty of it? Isn't magical mystery tour like that one wild night out in Liverpool where everything was too loud, too colourful, and utterly unforgettable? Now, don't get me wrong, there's charm in the Beatles Illustrated Record. The illustrations, for one, are like little love letters to the Fab Four. And the meticulous detail in their discography notes? Well, that's the kind of dedication one can't help but admire, even if it's through tears of laughter. But here's my advice, if you're going to take this book seriously, you might as well believe that the British monarchy is just a cover for a group of time-travelling, undercover historians from the future. It's all in good fun, and one can't help but chuckle at the earnestness with which Carr and Tyler present their opinions. Their commentary on the White Album is like watching someone trying to organise a group of cats. You know it's an admirable attempt, but ultimately, it's going to be a chaotic mess of individual tracks they either adore or ignore. Blackbird gets a nod, but Sexy Sadies might as well be playing in the background while they write about something entirely different. In the end, the Beatles Illustrated Record stands as a testament to the fact that even in the Beatles universe, where everything they touch turned to gold, there are critics who would argue it was just a bit of lucky alchemy. But for us, the fans, the lovers of Lennon's wit, McCartney's melodies, Harrison's mysticism, and Starr's beats, this book is a funny mirror held up to our own biases, our own loves, and perhaps, our own dismissals. So, Beatles fans, if you ever find yourself in possession of this book, take it with a pinch of salt, a dash of humour, and maybe, just maybe, a good strong cuppa. Here's to Carr and Tyler for giving us not just a record of the Beatles' music, but also a humorous reminder that not everyone appreciates genius in the same way. Cheers, and keep on Beatling!